Hello and welcome to Get Into Games on Air, a podcast about board games and the people who play them. My name's Craig, aka Get Into Games, and joining me, as always, the co-hostess with the mostess, Becky.
Hi. You're being nice to me today.
For a change. Change, yes.
What have I done to deserve
I don't know.
Oh.
Welcome to episode 30. Just 30. Just rabbiting on. That's the plan of the episode. It's not an episode without a plan.
Is to rabbit on.
The plan is to not have a plan and make a plan later.
Because we couldn't decide on the plan, you see. So
this is a good plan.
Go with the flow.
If this is your first time viewing or
Don't
listening
listen
to us, this is one of them episodes.
Not usual.
We've done 30 episodes now, so there's plenty of episodes to catch up on. In this episode, what we do here on Get Into Games on Air, a board gaming podcast about board games and people who play and distribute and publish them, is we have a good old chinwag about board games. In today's episode number 30, we are going to be talking about what's hit our table this week, having a chat about the games that we've enjoyed, maybe the ones we haven't enjoyed as much, that kind of thing. We're going to get that off our chests. We're going to talk about a special event we had and visited recently at the Dicebox Cafe in Leamington called the Publisher Event.
But you might be slightly biased about it.
There might be a slight bias, I don't know.
But I'm not biased.
I think it went really well, thanks. The host was very good. And then we're going to maybe do some board game menus and just have a bit of a chat about all that good stuff, really. Talk about all the new shiny games that we have received of recent, haven't we?
Which some people may be able to see.
Some people, me, might be able to see.
But if you're listening, you'll only be able to hear them.
But then you can listen again.
What sort of
by
noise
watching
do they make?
it. Yeah. What game is this?
Oh, it's
like a weird ASMR thing. Anyway, that one was
didn't make any
completely
noise.
silent. Okay, so what have we played? What have we done this week?
We haven't really played that many games.
It's
this
been really
week.
busy, but we
You've
have
been quite busy.
but we haven't.
So we played a game of Blood on the. Well, a couple of, was it 2 games?
Yeah, we played a
Blood
couple
on the
of games.
Clock Tower on Monday, which was different. Scheduled usually on a Tuesday, but this week was on a Monday.
Yeah, they were quite nice.
Yeah.
Interesting character choices. We played with Legion. Probably the first time I've run a Legion script, I think, which was quite nice. That went really well.
It's nice when you're a part of Legion.
Yes.
I'm not sure it was so nice
the other way around. Yeah, there's some teething issues, I think, just to work out exactly the best script for a Legion. And we played another script with the new demon, the Lord of Typhon, the big cow. Moo. It's very exciting.
What's the sign for cow?
That's now the sign for cow. Congratulations.
Nobody can see that, though.
But they could.
Well, they can see it, but they can't hear it.
Yeah, they can hear that.
For those of you who can hear it, I just did a cow symbol.
I thought you were just going to say, for those of you who can hear it, I just did this.
Here we go. Moo.
There we go. That's better. Ugh.
It's very hard trying to go for 2 mediums at the same time.
No, I'd never go for 2 mediums. Go for an extra large.
Oh, that's a different game.
It'll
Ghost Hunter.
Yeah, fit better. Anyway, so we played Blood on the Clock Tower. What else did we do?
We did. On Tuesday, we went to the Publisher Event.
We did.
Where we played... Well, you didn't play because you were busy.
I was busy.
Where I played Shoal, Ocean Pods, Time Troopers, Sakana Stack, Divide and Conquer, and Can't Go.
You did.
Which we'll talk about later.
Lots of cool games, yes.
So that was really cool. We played a game of Lost Friends of Honor. I'm looking behind us.
Yes.
It's on the shelf. Because we wanted to try out our new upgrades from Tinkertown Games.
Yes, Tinkertown Games do some of the best upgrades on the market.
Turns out, if you have a little book and a little magnifying glass that actually look like a book and a magnifying glass and not just a block of wood, then you go up the research track further than you usually do.
Yeah, because you just want to mess around with it. Yeah, it's like, I don't normally take the shiny metal coins or the compasses, but I will do now because I've got access to shiny metal coins and compasses.
And I wrote in the little books.
Yes.
The winning score.
Yeah, the books are incredible. They're little 25-page, stunning little things. But yeah, Tinkertown Games definitely worth a look into their upgrades if you are into your upgrades of upgrading board games. It's a whole nother episode itself, that, really.
I had a little BGA meet up with Games with Beanie and My Shelf Life, and we played. I tried to teach them Castle Combo, which is easier said than done online.
Yeah,
I'm not great at explaining games, but
yeah, I think online learning is one of those ones that's slightly more difficult than in person. But I think the port of Castle Combo on BGA looks really simple.
And then Susie taught us 61 Autumn Leaves, which is you roll dice and then you can take a dice and it does a certain thing on the board and you're trying to score the most points.
Okay.
And there's a mechanism in there whereby if you have a certain amount of leaves, you get a bonus, but it's really, I found it really hard. Susie seemed to be managing it very easily, but to score that exact amount of points at that time, I was always going over it or under it.
Interesting.
We played Bloxo online.
Bloxo is a great little...
which there was a little in-joke because the last time we played Bloxo with Games with Beanie and My Shelf Life, halfway through I deleted the scores, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
So there was a little joke about, well, at least we'll have scores at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's true. So
it was quite good.
Bloxo is a really cool little game if you're not quite aware of what it is. It's a little tiny box game, but it's like Quirkle. So you're trying to match patterns and shapes and colours to score points. You score points for every time you match the colours and the shapes together. It's really nice. I've spoken about it a little bit on the Instagram channel.
The only issue it has on BGA is a little bit like Carcassonne in that the zooming in and zooming out, it sort of can disappear off the page. But other than that, it worked quite nicely. And then we played Six Nymph, which is a go-to favourite.
Yes, it's always a go-to on I think BGA. Susie won. Yeah, it's a really nice. Six Nymph's always a classic, and it's always a great go-to game. And the whole online thing of it with BGA makes life so more straightforward.
So we did that. We played Return to the Dark Tower, which isn't on here because
it was late by the time we finished.
Maybe I just didn't want to record that
we lost.
But we did play, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
And then we chucked the kids, not literally, threw them in, to a soft play this afternoon, so we could play some small box games.
Yes.
So we had a go at Wednesday, which is new Hachette game.
Yep, the new from Hachette, the new Wednesday, the card game that is for the TV series of Wednesday.
Which was quite nice. I'm going to sneeze again.
Don't do that. That's a terrible thing. That's live, that is. That's live broadcast sneeze there. Someone will get the kink. We'll put that on OnlyFans or something. Multimedia.
I wasn't sure about it. So you play it over 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And it's like a card shitting game.
Yeah, it's Uno. There's Uno-ness to it.
So you have to play cards in order, higher than the one before.
Yeah.
Except that there are characters that come out that
change the rules up a bit. So it's like a Uno and Flux mixed together.
And you're trying to score the least points. Now, the first round, I was like, I don't get it. There's not much strategy here. Then we play, so you have to play it over 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And the more we played it, I was like, oh, right, I need to go look for that card because there are 6. So some of the cards do different things. Yeah. So you can have 2 goes, or you can force your opponent or another player to pick up a card. Different things. But you can play 3 6s?
Yeah.
Or 4 10s.
It's 3 6s or 4 10s.
They do something special. So 4 10s
ends the round. And 3 6s you can move Wednesday in the deck because she also ends the round.
Yeah. And so it got to the point in like the third or the fourth round where I was like, oh, actually, like I'm actively looking for certain cards. And
So there was like a siren. If you played the siren, you could go into the discard pile, look through the deck essentially to find the card you want. And if you've got 2 6s and you can scroll through the deck to find the other 6, then you can put that 6 down. Then you can move Wednesday in the other deck, and then on that next round, Wednesday will come out. You'll be out of cards, and your opponent hopefully will have loads, which is exactly what happened.
So which was really cool.
So there's some nice strategy moments in there.
Yeah, so we played that.
It could be any theme. I don't think like it needs to be the Addams Family. The Wednesday theme doesn't necessarily like. It's fine. It's a good tie-in to a show. Like it's a good way to sell a game. It's good for marketing. But I feel like the actual mechanically, the game could be absolutely anything. It doesn't need to be the based on the TV show.
Yeah. And then we played Ghost Hunter. We played the monster version.
Ghost Hunter Monsters with the most satisfying box opening of all time. Here you go. This is for the podcast listeners. This is for the viewers.
So
sounds the same.
Those of you who can't see it, rather than it being a lid, it lifts up and holds the deck of cards. It was a bit similar to Wednesday in a way because you had to play cards in order.
Did we decide it was like shithead? I didn't swear on the podcast.
So you have your exit cards. So you have 3 cards laid face down and 2 cards laid face up. And I seem to remember that in Shithead,
she swore this time. I'll beat that out.
You have 3 cards face down, and so it's like a lucky thing whether you can like get rid of them at the end. I'm pretty sure it is that game. Yeah. So it seemed a bit like that. You play your cards, and then you're trying to, I guess, escape from the
and you're taking different.
And the monsters
stacks
do different things.
Different cards give you more points at the end.
There's infinity cards, which can be any number. They're like wild cards, but if you manage to collect them, then they're worth 10 points at the end. Other cards are worth 1 point.
Yeah. So they're from Cheatwell Games. There's 3 different. Well, I think there's probably more than 3 different types, but we've got the Vampire Edition. We were sent lovely. Thank you, Cheatwell Games, very much. But we were sent the monsters, the spirits, and the vampires, which are cool. Essentially, the decks are all the same. The cards.
And you can mix and match them. It says on the
back so you could just have one big deck of cards. So like one deck will play. What does it say? 2 to 6. So if you had 12 players, you mix 2 decks of cards. You can play with up to 12 Possibly. By doing that. That's how math works.
Mm-hmm. But the artwork's really nice.
It is, yeah. And, they're cool.
It says age 12 plus, but I think that's because that's
the theme.
The nature
it's
of
the theme of it that makes it 12
But
plus.
actually, the artwork's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
There's little, like the writing on it's quite small on the cards, so that would push the age thing up a bit.
Well, because people can't read small words.
Not small people. The smaller you are, the bigger the words need to be.
Oh, right.
Because tiny eyes, even though your eyes are the only bit of you that doesn't grow. Yeah. Yeah, so it's true. Science. No. I'm a scientist. I know science. And science is about small eyes and big words.
We had a little go at Caveman Rumble.
So Caveman Rumble is a game.
It's really cute. It's got some really nice artwork of like a whole family of cavemen, isn't it? So there's cave babies, there's a brat.
Yeah, cave brat.
Cave brat. And if you have her in your field of play, then you have to lose a card every time.
You have to discard a card every time it's in.
And you're trying to collect dino eggs and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
By matching colours, essentially. But there's a bit of kind of... is it Exploding Kitten?
There's a bit of take that in it. Yeah. Though you're stealing eggs and you're stealing cards and cavemen. You're stealing cavemen from one tribe to another, and you're trying to basically get dino eggs. And again, satisfying box.
But yeah, it does. Listen.
Yeah, that's the most satisfying sound.
It has one of those magnetic strips on the box that keeps it closed. And inside, the artwork inside the box is like a cave, but then it's got like the dinosaurs painted on the back.
It's a very simple, straightforward. Again, a kind of Exploding Kittens style game, but something that is quite an interesting little game. Enjoyed.
So we managed to play all of those, and we played Castle Combo as well.
We did. Yes, we played.
I do really enjoy. I think we talked about this before, but you have to lay out a 9
card, 3x3,
like 3x3 grid, and you are essentially drafting cards from 2 rows.
Yep.
And as you draft them, sometimes they can become cheaper to buy, or otherwise can be cheaper.
You're sending a messenger as well up and
cheaper
down.
to buy.
Yep.
There's a lot of thinking, and I find that this game causes you the most analysis paralysis that I think of all the games.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it feels like every card matters.
Well, it does, yeah, because you literally are doing 9 things. There's 9 actions to the game. That is it. Like just like the White Castle. Like you are doing 9 things. You've got to maximize in 9 turns. And if you've taken one of those cards that says you can't have any green cards by the end of the game, if you don't have any green shields, you'll get 10 points. That's like a huge amount of points that you need. And there's only green cards in like one part of the deck. It's sort of like, well, what do I have to make the best of a bad decision? Do I spend a key to move the messenger away from those to get? So then I'm losing points to get away and then getting a card that potentially won't score me many points or any points. Or do I just take the hit on the 10 points and hope I can get something that will build me more points in the future? There's a lot of thinking to be done. You can mess up around. And
you do have one concern.
Yes, every time you've got one specific card, you've won the game.
There's a card that allows you to...
It gives you...
score 4 points for each card that minuses
coins.
The cost.
So if you've got lots of cards that are minusing the cost, and then... So if you've got 4 of them in your hand, and you've got the fact that card is quite lucrative, that one card on its own gives you a minus on minus silver and minus brown. That feels like quite a lot to like a huge score for something that isn't necessarily... Yeah. But I suppose in a way you are also... The minus cards aren't scoring you stuff at the end. They are scoring you stuff at the end of the game. So yeah, it feels to me a bit of an overpowered card.
If you get that next time and then you...
Well, yeah. It just feels like scoring for that particular card is quite punishing if you don't get it.
True.
Because I don't think there's anything else in the deck that really gives you that. I mean, I suppose if you had 2 cards that don't have green and don't have blue in your deck or something, then you're going to have no cards in your deck. But yeah, interesting. It's good.
I forgot something we played.
What did you forget? We played
Chronicles of Avel yesterday.
We played Chronicles of Avel yesterday. There we go. We played with the Moon Monster.
We did. The Moon Monster is a 3-headed dinosaur.
Yes. It is a 3-headed dinosaur.
Moon Monster is.
Chronicles of Avel was really good. I really enjoyed that game. It's just a great kids kind of RPG, D&D starter, but with a board and collecting stuff. And, as we've spoken about before, I'm sure.
Alana really enjoys it.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we were kindly gifted the expansion by
Board Game Waffle.
Means that we can mix up the beasts and the other monsters. So
it's not just playing the same game over and over again. It can always be different.
Because the tiles are going to always be the same. Where they are and the positioning of them is going to be different.
Yeah. The difficulty can be different.
Yeah.
Like the level that you put it on, the amount of monsters that come out.
We died.
Yeah. We died many, many times.
We did.
It was sad. One of those things.
So, moving on, shall we talk about this publisher event that you helped to organise?
Yes. I sometimes wear a different hat, and it's very nice. So, at the Dicebox Board Game Cafe in Leamington Spa last week, there was a publisher showcase that I, in part, helped organise. And we organised with 4 budding UK indie board game publishers, Molinarius Games, who have been on the podcast, Half No More, who have been on the podcast, No Drinks on the Table, who have been on the podcast, and Triwin Games, who have been on the podcast. Yeah, so we had Triwin Games with Can't Go, which has been funded on Kickstarter and is currently still live on Kickstarter. So if you are thinking about backing anything, back Can't Go, the game of poop, points, and pandemonium. No Drinks on the Table have Divide and Conquer, which I do still believe is also on Kickstarter. Still got a couple of days left.
I think it's near the end.
Near the end. We had Molinarius, who brought Ocean Pods, Shoal, Lakes, and...
Oh my gosh, he can't remember.
And Time Troopers, but I thought there was another one.
No.
Oh, they did bring Cake of Doom, but they didn't show it off. But Cake of Doom is coming from soon. Time Troopers.
I thought he'd forgotten Time
No,
Troopers.
I just thought I'd missed another one.
Could you?
And Huff No More, who bought their Sakana Stack. Sakana Stack is a card shedding game based in Japanese fish markets, which has just had a new 2-player rule set, because originally it was 3 or more. 3 to 6, is it?
Yeah, we've got the 3 to 6.
Yeah, so there's a new rule set that makes it a 2-player game, which is really nice. Because I think that was one of the sticking points. That is coming to Kickstarter on the 1st of October, so that's something to definitely keep an eye out for. It went down incredibly well at the event. But yeah, start from the beginning, I guess. So where do you start?
Well, I mean, from a punter's point of view, shall I talk about
you
what
can
it was
talk,
like for
yeah.
me? So we turned up at 6:30 and we were organised into little groups. Now, naturally, I don't really like people. I'm not always good in new company.
Yeah.
But I sort of felt like I knew the publishers well enough that it didn't matter. So I just sort of hung back and let you sort out all the other people, and then was left to the end.
Yeah.
Where I met Sam and Zach.
Yeah. And
we basically made up a trio for the entire evening.
Yeah.
So each group went round to each of the publishers and played the games, learned about the games, were able to talk and ask questions of the publishers, which was really nice. It felt really intimate. Like, it was because, you know, like, you blah, 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 blah. You know,
I blah, 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 blah. I agree.
You know, at UKG,
yes.
you get to speak to people, but it's kind of quick because you know there's like a queue of 2 or 3
a horde behind them
you that also want to speak, so you can't really like spend ages speaking to them unless you go on a Sunday and it's like closing down time. So it felt really nice to kind of have a good chunk of time. So I think, what did you organise, like 45 minutes?
Yeah, so from that, my point of view there, I essentially, my initial idea was it was almost like, and I didn't want to call it, but it was basically publisher speed dating. It's giving people about 45 minutes to an hour, 4-hour event roughly, 45 minutes to an hour with each publisher, knowing that some publishers were showing off like 4 games and some were showing off 1.
Most were showing off 1.
Yeah.
One publisher was
showing off 4 with the 5th one in a bag. So giving everyone 45 minutes and then like ringing a little bell, which was the most exciting part of my evening, to get everyone to sort of move around after the 45 minutes to an hour-ish. And I think that did give everyone enough time. It was interesting because the people that came some of them were budding publishers. There's Avium Games, who will be on Instagram very soon. They're playtesting a game at the moment. So there's a lot of people there were in kind of the publishing and other side of things to see how it works. And it was really interesting to see how the conversations went. They played games and then they just chatted to these publishers about publishing games and that sort of thing, which was really interesting from my point of view. So it gave people a lot of time to talk. But yes.
So the first game we played was Sakana Stack, which is a fish market sort of shedding card game by
Half No More.
Yeah, by Half No More. Now, I mean, the best thing about playing this game is playing it with Mike, because
Yes.
he literally was beaming from ear to ear for the entire night.
Yeah.
Like, he stopped momentarily to have some food, but his passion was I just was drawn in. He loves his game, and we've played it, but and play tested it, but there's nothing quite like playing it with the actual guy who made it.
No, with him and being able to tailor it, like be able to teach while it's being played.
Yeah, and he sort of was giving us tips and tricks, like you might want to hold this back, you might want to play these as you can steal the catch of the day if it matches with what you want to lay down. It's really good. I think the sweet spot is 3 or 4. I didn't get the chance to play the 2-player game, but it's a really nice game. And the artwork, which his wife
Jocelyn
created, sort of makes it pop.
It's like water brush, like Japanese water brush, is it? Something like that.
But it's really been thought about very well, and it went down like a storm. Zach, who I played with, said he doesn't really like trick-taking games, but he was loving this.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about Sam. Sam likes 9s, I think. I can't remember what number it was. Just always had the card that would beat everybody else. And it became a bit of a running joke that, you haven't got 3 9s, have you? And he went, play it down. Right. Yeah. Sam went on to win literally every game that we played. No, in all seriousness, it was he Sam and Zach were both really cool, but I think the beauty of the publisher event was playing with the people who created it, because their passion is just
I'm just watching people playing Sakana Stack. There was a big 4-player game of it towards the end on the last round. They were all having an amazing time. Like the laughter and the sounds that were coming from that table, people were absolutely loving it. And it went really well. And people got, I think Brad, my Shelf Life, got to play it at 2-player, and he said it was really interesting at 2. And it's definitely one on his radar. So I think definitely that should be on people's radar. 1st of October, so not too long now. Couple of weeks.
I think small box games doing really well at the minute, because you they're travel size. You can just take it with you, wherever you go.
And the beauty of it was the 2-player mode of it is new. Is sort of, they've listened to feedback and they've adapted and come up with another mode too, and that's just a sign of someone who's willing to listen and good.
And then because we'd played the game and we got some time to have a chat. We found out about his new game, which is cool. I'm not going to say very much about it because I think it would be a spoiler, but the mechanisms that he described sounded really interesting and something I hadn't seen in card games really before.
That's cool.
So I think it's one to look out for, and I think there is a lot more coming from Huff No More. I think this is just the start, and I think once they get this off the ground,
it'll be Huff much more.
There will be lots of Huff No More games.
Yeah, that's cool. So then obviously you're playing some other games. So where did you go for that?
We went to Molinarius Games.
Yes.
And whilst they have lots of games, there was only one game I was interested in.
Yes.
I just wanted to touch Time Troopers over and over again.
Yes.
I think I might have scared Lee off a little bit. No. I was tempted to try and steal it at the end of the night when he asked me to hold on to his bags.
Yep, that's fine. It's so good. It's a great game. Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, so Time Troopers is a solo card game.
Deck builder. It's essentially a deck builder, yeah.
Where you're going through different time zones, looking for artifacts, trying to defeat enemies, and doing little hidden side quests.
Yeah.
There is a Spotify playlist for every single episode.
Yeah.
The artwork is truly amazing. Every little detail has been thought of. To the point which I only just noticed despite being sent pictures of the box, that each time era is denoted on the front of the box in a little circle. It is beautiful, and I think, again, like Sarkana Stack, everybody who played it was really interested in it. I think the price point is good. Like, I think it's going to be about £60, but something it's going to come with the playmat and 24 episodes.
Yeah.
So, like, that feels like good value for money. It's coming to GameFound.
I think as well, the other thing about it is, yes, it's published and marketed as a solo game, but it's definitely not a solo game. It's a co-op game. You can play it comfortably with 2 or 3 people, probably not more than that.
So twice now. So we played it at UKGE together.
Actually, we played with 3 people.
Yeah, because there was the other guy that was joining in, and then again at this publisher event, played it at 3 players.
Yeah,
and there's something to be said about like having the discussion about what you're going to do. Shall we spend our time? Shall we not? Shall we move this? Deploy this person? Which one should? I liked it. I can imagine me getting it out and playing it solo, but I can also imagine sitting with you and going, let's do an episode together. Like, I think it's quite versatile. I think almost saying it's solo, like, takes out a whole lot of clientele that could...
Because I think it's got, like, a really good negotiation kind of thing, like the Art Project does. So the Art Project has that negotiation around the cards. So, what can you do if I play this? I need this resource, I can do this, and this bad thing happens. And then someone else can go, well, if I do this side, this bad thing will happen, and this bad thing will happen. So it's quite a lot of choices, and I think that the Time Troopers has that same kind of thing as well.
So yeah, I want it.
Yes, 100%.
You need to get it for me.
I will.
And we need to order it on GameFound. So the other games that they had Cake of Doom. They had 1 box of Cake of Doom. I looked at it. It was that's their only copy of it. But if you know Cake of Doom from before, it's sort of the 2nd edition of it. Yeah. And it looks really nice. It almost looks, I know it's not the same as Doomlings, but it looks to like that kind of artworky type thing. And it looks fun. But obviously I haven't played it, so I don't know. But it looks fun.
I think we saw the original edition of it a couple of years back at UKGE.
I remember seeing it, but I don't remember. We didn't play it. And then we have Shoal that they were showing off again. And despite having played it many times, and he sort of led with, Becky knows how to play this one. And then the 2 newbies were playing it, and they absolutely kicked my butt.
Yeah. Shoal's really good. It's like it's a card layering game with 4 specific rules, but like what I love about the game is just the fact that the rules are printed on the side of the box. That makes life easier.
Rule number 1.
Rule number 1.
I'll read them out now. Fish must be placed swimming to the left and not placed upside down. Rule number 2. After your first card, you must layer cards on top of one another. No tucking. Rule number 3. When you layer cards, add fish next to another fish, adjacently, not diagonally. Rule number 4. Fish can cover empty space and other fish. Empty spaces can only cover empty spaces.
Fish are friends, not food.
It is really fun. It's a little puzzle. It's really quick. Plays really quickly. And the objectives change each game. So you have different things to work towards. And some of the things that you're working towards, if you get too many of that kind of fish or type of fish, or a fish with a certain type of stripe, then you get minus points. So you need to look out for that.
Yeah, it's just like playtime 15 to 30 minutes on the box. I would say 30 minutes if you are someone who does suffer from a lot of analysis paralysis, because it's definitely not that long a game. Or I'm just not very good at games because I just go, yeah, there's a card, I've played it, on to the next one.
Yeah, well, we played a whole game, and I think we must have played it in about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah. A new one to me from Molinarius Games was Ocean Pods, which I did then go on to buy. This game, I found out, was created after the artwork. So the art, but they knew somebody who did that artwork, and they made a game around the artwork, which was quite cool.
The artwork is like it's something else.
All the proceeds of this game go to a conservation charity to save our oceans. Essentially, you are rolling dice and choosing which creatures you want. So there might be krill, there might be crab, there might be octopus, that sort of thing. You will have a selection of, I can't remember how many cards, but 6, 8, I don't know, of marine life. So like
orcas and beluga whales and narwhals and such.
And you are trying to collect the food that they will eat to sort of entice them. But there's a boat track along the top. So cold water, coastal water, deep water.
Wet water.
Something else water. Yeah. And as the boat moves along, if the boat is in a certain area, so say it was in the coastal water, you can't attract any of the fish from that area. So there's sort of a waiting game and choosing when to take cards. Yeah. You're trying to race to 12 points, but equally every time the boat crosses over a threshold into a different type of water or ocean, sea, you will put plastic into the ocean. There is a blue dice that you roll as well as if you're the first player, and that can add plastic to the ocean. If there are 3 plastic cards in the ocean, then everybody loses. Yeah. So you get to a point where you want to take plastic out of the ocean, and you will score some points for doing so, but it's kind of like, are you going to take the plastic out of the ocean, or are you waiting for me to take the plastic out of the ocean? And there's a bit of like there's a bit of
cooperation of working together, so the game just doesn't end immediately and everyone essentially loses. But there's also that kind of, well, I really want this orca. He's worth loads of points to me, so I want to get this. I want this resource so I can get that. But then
if you take plastic out the ocean, you don't then get another turn.
Yeah, exactly. You're basically giving up, and you're saying to someone else, you feel free, have that resource, because I'm going to take this out so the game doesn't like immediately end. And then that other person can then take it. So there's a real tricky balance of kind of, do I let you do this and hope that you don't win immediately by getting a big old fish.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like it. Yeah. And who doesn't want to save
fish?
Save big the fish. Ocean. So...
And we got the expansion in there as well, which adds extra sharks and rays, isn't it?
Yeah. So it then means that you can't have certain cards together because they don't.
Yeah.
I guess live
like each other.
Live well together. So that was really good, and a new one to me.
Yeah. It's one of their older ones. I think it's the second game they released, wasn't it, after Lakes? Yeah. And I'd seen it loads just mainly because of the artwork, but never really knew much about the game. But it is, not only is a beautiful, relatively small box, lots of components.
And everything is plastic free in the box. Yes. So they're wooden dice.
Yeah. The dice are beautiful. The same artwork is on the dice, which is amazing.
Even though they're not really making money out of it. Yeah. They've gone to the trouble of making sure that there was no plastic in it.
Yeah, they're not making money out of it, but generally speaking, people be doing this is something to help, and you get a game out of it, so why would you not support it, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. And Lee is great.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit in the dice box, but he's great.
Yes.
He's a little bit too tall.
He's too tall for the too tall for the cafe, but we can make arrangements.
But it's the same with all of the publishers. They all they're just so enthusiastic, obviously, about their games, and their love of board games in general really comes across.
Yeah,
definitely. And they're really supportive of one another, which is really nice. So yeah. And then the third game I got to play was Divide and Conquer, which is a game all about playing conkers.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia of the old playground playing conkers, which you're not allowed to do anymore because of rude people.
Yeah,
because
because
hurting people by
it would hurt.
whacking people.
So this is the next best thing if you want to play Conkers, and the artwork is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
They are tiny sorts of Ghibli Conker characters, and you essentially are. Why are you yawning, Craig?
You're quite boring.
Wow, I didn't think you were going there. And you are. So there's a drafting phase where you collect your conkers, add your hardeners, get your strings, because you can't play conkers unless they're attached to strings. There are different types of strings. Some strings snap during rounds. Some are extra strong or give you a bonus. And then you add your hardeners, which also gives you a bonus. Yep. And then you battle each other.
Indeed.
And you try to break your opponent's conkers.
Yep.
So we played a massive 4-player version of it with a huge draft. What happened was that 2 people didn't draft very well, so I ended up with only 1 or 2 conkers, and then Sam and I just collected all the conkers. So at the end, we ended up battling each other, and of course, Sam won.
Yes.
But it's great. It's super sweet, and it's in a tiny box, and the dice are really nice. I want the special nice dice, because we have like the like sort of
normal dice.
But yeah, but what colour would you call that? Sort of pine? I don't know. Creamy dice.
Beigey
but dice. There are some like walnut coloured dice.
Conker coloured dice.
Yeah, and they look really cool.
Yeah.
So you can get that if you order the deluxe on the Kickstarter.
Yes. Or the big wooden box. Order the
Which
big wooden box.
I learned
is big wooden
she
box.
wanted to have in walnut, but apparently walnut wood warps.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it would look nice as soon as you got it. And then it would not
be good.
So that's why you're not getting walnut boxes if you order the big £400
Fair enough.
box.
Yeah.
The last game we played was our friend John's game.
Yep.
From Try-Win Games. Go.
Yep.
What was it? Points?
The game of Poop, Points and Pandemonium. I feel like I'm an advertising campaign.
What happens with this game is that people sit down to play it, and I've seen it happen quite a lot now, because we've seen it in lots of different places played. Yeah. And people who don't know it sort of sit down at the table and go, I don't really feel very comfortable playing a game about poop.
Well, I think there's a multitude of things. There's like one is you want me to play a game about poo. The second thing is the artwork is so Ghibli and cute. It's a kawaii. Sorry. Mm-hmm. You go, is this a kid's game? Neither of those things are factual.
And then you see, so then he goes on to explain that you can flush, you can wipe, you can do all of this, and you just watch people's faces and go, I'm not sure. So there are little creatures in the stalls, and they are going
to the
for a poo.
Yep.
And you are building out the poos.
Yep.
And you're
scoring
trying to score
based on the number
of rather large poo.
But you score based on the number of sweet corn within the poo.
Yeah. So if there's 3 sweet corn, it might be worth 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
For that piece, and you add it up, and you have to have a starting piece of poo, and you have to have a finishing piece of poo.
Yeah. And
if you finish the poo, then it goes round to the next player to see if they want to wipe.
Yeah, the finishing.
And if the finishing turn. And if they wipe, then they potentially steal points from you, or someone could play an event card, which would not an event card. The blue card, is it the blue cards? And then they could flush it away, or you could share the points, or somebody else might play a white card, in which case they would steal it from the previous person. And so you're trying to score points. And there comes a point about halfway through the game where people are like, oh, it's okay to laugh. Like, this is a funny game.
Yep.
And it always ends in hilarity, and it just totally breaks down any barriers that anybody had, because it's so silly, but great fun, that you just I mean, I played with Zach, and he wouldn't take any yellow cards, so the yellow cards are the only way that you can lay out more poop, basically. he wouldn't take any yellow cards. He would only take blue cards. So he couldn't do anything other than wait for the person in front of him
to wipe.
To what? Yeah, and he was like, "Can't you just finish the poo? Can you just finish?" And it's just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's like there's so much like people are getting so enthralled or so excited about, you just wiped, I can wipe, and you're having an argument about wiping away the poo. Yeah, it's just amazing how it just brings people to, that kind of hilarity brings people together in that way. It's such a good little game.
And then I heard that Trying Games has a whole folder of game ideas that he thinks of in his head, and he puts in the folder in case you should ever come back. So like Huff No More, I imagine there are going to be loads of those. And No Drinks on the Table has ideas for a fashion game, which I think she's playtesting at the minute.
Yeah, so I think they should bring it to one of the aircons, I think, maybe next year.
People are going to be coming up with lots more games, so they're sort of ones to watch, I think.
Yeah, it was
very exciting.
Yeah, overall it was definitely a good fun event. Lots of enjoyment was had, lots of games were played, and hopefully they'll get lots of support from you folks at home and people who have played and tried the games out, because they deserve it, because they're good games.
And then a little shout out to the Dice Box. I know you work there, but we had some lovely food and some lovely I tried out some cocktails.
Yep, some specials of the moment.
A very exciting cocktail, which was bought. So it was sort of in a martini glass.
Yes.
See, now I'm getting better.
Because it's martini.
And it was vodka and grenadine.
It was a
So the red sort of hung around in the middle and sort of it looked really cool. And then on the side it comes with candy floss. So then you drop the candy floss in the top of the martini glass and it sort of dissipates. And I think this is coming onto the menu.
It is a special menu.
Yeah, special menu. So you ought to want to try one of those out because they were pretty nice.
It's the Dicebox Leamington at the moment. So we're still going through some testing things. So, but yeah, it's definitely worthwhile popping down trying out some of our specials that we have on at the moment with our pumpkin spice lattes and our toffee popcorns.
But the food was really nice, and the venue was really cool because we got to take over the whole basement. So it felt like a really nice, intimate gathering where you could just sort of move around that area and didn't have to worry about any of the rest of the public. But
indeed,
it was really good.
Yes,
very enjoyable.
It was. And one of the good things about the Dicebox and board game cafes in general is being able to have a massive library. So the Dicebox in Leamington Spa has over 1,000 board games that you can play. So you come in, you book a table, you come along, you sit down, and you play board games for as much as you want. And then we will also serve you delicious cocktails, award-winning milkshakes, amazing food, pizza, burgers, whatever you like, we will do. There are games gurus on hand to help you, guide you through every step of the way, teaching you how to play board games and selecting board games. Sadly, there's not a dice box in every part of the country. There's one in Stockport. There's one in Stockport. There's one in Peterborough. There's one in Worcester. But if you're nowhere near those areas and you still want to be able to play board games, but don't want to just buy board games and clutter your shelves and all of that sort of thing, there is one way that you can do it. With Rent, Shuffle and Roll. Rent, Shuffle and Roll are a board game rental service that proudly... I don't know if they're proud to sponsor us, but we're proud to have them as sponsors. They sponsor this podcast. And if you use the code GITG50, you get 50% off your first month of rental with Rent, Shuffle and Roll. So no matter what type of board game you're into, log on to Rent, Shuffle and Roll's website, create yourself a wish list. I said words, I mixed them up, but the people know what I said. Head on to Rent, Shuffle and Roll's website. Go onto their wish list. You can make a wish list of all the different games that you want to play. Then you can tailor your subscription. As I said, use the code GITG50 for your first month at 50% off. And then be sent board games in a lovely little box with a pre-pack envelope.
Sometimes you get sweeties.
Sometimes you get sweeties too.
I think actually all the time you get sweeties.
Most of the time.
part of the subscription model. That you get
Sweeties. Most important. That's it then. Forget the board games. Do you want sweeties? Well, get your first 50%.
Free sweeties.
Yeah, free sweeties. Anyway, yeah, so you can enjoy games and then post them back without any extra charges because all the return labels are all done for you. You just have to make sure you keep that box because it's easier just to ship it off. And then what you're going to do, a Macarena. That's something for the viewing public. So yeah, do that. Rent, Shuffle and Roll. Sponsor this podcast, GITG50 for 50% off your first month of the subscription. Sick. Return to the Dark Tower.
Return to the Dark Tower.
So we remortgaged the house.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Just in case my parents are watching.
No, they're not. They're not watching, honestly. So do not worry.
We didn't.
That is never going to happen. And we did not remortgage the house either. But
Craig wanted this since Molly gone.
I did.
Which means he hasn't had to actually wait that long, to be honest.
No, it's been weeks.
But then he saw it come onto our website.
It came on and it said, hello,
like,
I'm available. And then I went, all right, you're available, are you? I'll have you then. Thanks. Thanks very much.
But you can't just get one bit of it.
You can't get one
get
bit. It's not done. You can't. The rules say you can't just buy one thing. You can't just buy the base game. You need to buy the minis.
No, here's what
you can't just buy the minis. You have to buy the other expansion. Then there's another expansion. But then we left that expansion. We didn't buy that expansion. But we bought the other one. Then that's fine. But there is another one.
But the most annoying thing about this game is it doesn't fit on a Kallax shelf.
It is bigger than a Kallax cube.
So where are we going to put it?
It does. It fits if you lay it down.
We have nowhere to put it.
We have nowhere to put it. It's big.
There's three boxes of the stuff.
It's there.
3 boxes of the stuff.
It's not 3.
Anyway, I thought that was the box that we weren't going to get.
Yeah, I thought that was the box we weren't going to get.
Yeah.
But we got it. Oh well.
So apparently there was a first edition and a not edition. We got a first edition.
There's a first edition and a second edition. And I thought the first edition had the swanky box with the brown and the black, and the second edition was just a black box.
Didn't really say what the difference was, but there was a difference in price. But we seem to have got the other ones.
The rule book was different apparently, but hey ho.
Anyway,
Return to the Dark Tower.
What you're paying for is the big tower.
A big Bluetooth tower.
That you have to put batteries in.
That you have to put batteries in. It spins and it spews skulls and it makes noise. And, okay, the speaker inside the tower isn't the best. Possibly what should happen is the audio should come out the iPad so you can pair the iPad with a Bluetooth speaker.
It's fine.
But it is fine. It's beautiful. It flashes red lights and it moves and it makes noise. And it
tells you can't do things, which is really annoying.
You really can't do things.
My side told me I couldn't battle for absolutely ages. I was like, this is annoying.
There was a lot of wolves and
I got totally
ogres.
Surrounded by wolves.
You got attacked by all. That's how it ended.
Buy the what expansion?
The Dark Horde expansion.
Because otherwise, you have to play with cardboard.
Well, they're not even like standees. They're like little hexagonal,
not the same.
Flat hexagon things. And you put that down, and your little man, who you do get a mini as your character, is then towering over like a titan. But then when you buy the Dark Horde expansion, the titan is towering over you, and that makes you feel very happy and slightly scared.
The minis are really cool. So we in the game we played, we had dragons, 2 of them, right next to each other.
That was
why? I don't know.
They all came out in the same quadrant. Everything came out in the same quadrant.
We had wolves all decided to spawn in my quadrant, and then it said all the wolves move next to the player in that quadrant.
Yeah.
So I had like 8 wolves on.
And there were ogres that were hitting buildings and putting skulls in the buildings.
Needless to say, we lost.
Yes.
Because I think we were a bit gung-ho. Yeah, we can do this. This will be fine. Turns out you need to do a little bit more planning.
Yeah. We left everything really. And
I went and in the first instance, I went and tried to battle a lot of things, and I didn't have enough soldiers behind me.
Yeah.
And then a couple of times, did you die? I don't know.
No,
You don't die in that, do you?
You don't die.
No, that's
you
Chronicles
get
of Abel.
Yeah. No, you get corruption a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
And
So I got my full thing of
you got
corruption.
2 corruptions.
If I'd have got one more, then
we would have lost the game. Yeah. So there's multiple ways to lose again. So Return to the Dark Tower, if you don't know, is a cooperative board game by Restoration Games. Restoration Games basically take an old game from childhood, which was The Dark Tower, which was a game from way back when, and they've restored it and turned it into The Return to the Dark Tower, which is this new big shiny version.
Upgraded.
And so it's a fully co-op game. There is a semi-co-op mode as well where you can battle each other, go against each other to try and win, which is interesting. But fully co-op, you are going around trying to solve these events, and if you don't complete the events, bad things happen. So every month, you got 6 months to complete the game, to basically do the last event. But there are multiple events that happen, and all the events that happen, you're basically hiring extra people to help you and things like that. There are skulls that are the corruption, which you drop into the big tower, and they will either hold in the tower and they won't come out, or eventually they'll fall out of one of the sides of the tower. Every time you drop a skull into the tower, the app pings and it goes, there's an event, or there's no event. The events can be the monsters getting stronger, more monsters spawning, monsters moving, monsters just being monsters. Lots of different things can happen during the events. Sometimes it says, soon it will start raining fire and raining skulls, and then you realise that you're slowly dropping in skull, and nothing's happening, and you're getting more and more panicked because every time you drop a skull in and nothing's happening, you soon realise that one time you're going to drop a skull in and everything is going to happen at once, and then that's a really bad thing. So yeah, like a co-op, multiple ways to lose.
There was a dungeon, and then on the iPad,
that was cool.
You have to search the dungeon, but you get choice of which way you go.
Yeah,
and then you either find something or you have to fight something.
Yeah, I really like the interactive side of that. I like the app. So there's like you said, the dungeon, and you click, do you want to go through this door or this door? And you click, and then bad things happen or good things happen depending on where you go. You go somewhere like lose 7 troops. I was like, oh bugger, there's
you
loads
choose
of people
cards, don't you? When you attack, you choose cards.
Yeah, when you're battling, it's like a.
So my cards notoriously were always bad. It was like lose 15 troops. And
and if you can't if in the game, if you ever can't do anything that it says, so if it says lose 7 troops and you can't do it, if it says place a skull, or if it says place a skull and you can't do it, you lose the game immediately anyway. But if there's anything you can't do, you have to take corruption for it, and if you end up with 3 corruptions, you both lose the game.
And corruption really impedes what you're doing.
It's horrible.
So I got things like you can't get any spirit if you're on a space with a building, which is of course what you're trying to do. And
or if you end in if you end on a home, you lose, you have to discard a card or discard stuff, and it's just harsh. So you really don't want to get the corruption. There are ways to get rid of the corruption. If you get enough spirit points, you can use them to get rid of the corruption. There's quite nice mechanics of trading. If you're on the same space, you can swap items with each other. You can actually give people troops as well. So if you're going to get into a big fight, and you can go, right, you take all the troops, you go do the fight, I'll go over here and do something else. So there's loads of really cool little things, and just infinitely repayable because of the amount of troops and stuff you can use.
Everyone has an asymmetric board, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So my guy was really good at getting potions, which are little sort of helpful things that you can do. I don't know what yours was doing.
Mine was a big fighty guy with an axe, so he did fighting so he had a banner action, which is the action you can do before your main actions. Yours was get a potion. Mine was get 5 troops. So every time I was always getting more people to be doing big fights, but didn't do any fights.
But you were just hoarding up the soldiers, not actually doing anything, and I was fighting
because they were all over your side. I had to get over there.
That was the excuse. He was doing all the events.
I was scared of the big monsters.
For a big box game, though, the rule set is quite low, isn't it? There's not much to remember. It basically says what you can do on your turn on your player board, and that's essentially it.
Yeah, and then the app will drive everything else. Yeah, I think it's quite a big setup. There's a big robot tower.
Not as big as Nemesis.
It doesn't feel like as long a setup as normal. But yeah, I think the variability of how you play the game is what really is so good about it. Like you can play, there's loads of scenarios, but you can go, I'll play this scenario, but this time on this scenario, I'm going to put this baddie, this baddie, this baddie, and this baddie.
Also, you can take this, I think we've talked about this before, but you can take the seed of the game that you played and replay it.
Oh, yeah, you can save it, yeah.
Every time you play, it saves the seed, and then you can go back and replay that. So if you would make different choices or do something different, then you can. Which is really cool, because I like the idea of thinking, maybe it was something that I did that caused us to not win, and maybe if we'd have made a different choice, like maybe if I hadn't been fighting right at the start, we could have won. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is it's very expensive. So if you want to play it, we have to play it. We have to play it more times. So I'm trying to get my cost per plays down.
I think, though, it will get to the table more than Nemesis.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's easy
unless
to set
it's run out of batteries.
Which was, that's the thing. Obviously, it takes 3 AA batteries.
Did keep telling us that the batteries were dying, even though
they were brand new batteries, but it probably takes that much juice.
We shall see. But yes, it was very fun, and I think
and also looking forward to playing a few more times before adding like the Covenant expansion, which adds these buildings that you're trying to build, these specific kind of the gold coloured stuff.
We got the upgrades to the coins. The coins were cardboard, and now we got the plastic ones.
To be fair, the cardboard tokens are good quality. They're thicker than I thought they'd be. But then again, you'd hope that they were thicker because the price of the game in the first place. But the plastic counters it's just so nice.
We're a bit of a sucker for upgrades nowadays.
This is a problem. We've got into upgrades, but thanks to Tinkertown Games, this is a bigger problem than it. Yeah. But yeah, I love an upgrade.
We now can't play Arnak without the book and the magnifying.
Yeah,
we looked at the other pieces yesterday and went, nah.
That's the thing. So like, it's things like Flamecraft, our version of Wormspan and Wingspan, and Arnak. I go into the cafe and I'm like, oh, let's suggest this game, and I open the box and it's either not got an insert, not got a folded space insert, or not got shiny metal upgrades, and I'm like, I don't know about you.
But our copy of Ark Nova has got to the table much more since we had the insert.
Yeah, the Laser Ox insert that we have in that is beautiful.
I think sometimes there is something about setup. Like, I don't want to spend ages setting it up, but I do want to play it.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes an insert
I feel like Kutna Hora is going to be one of those ones that desperately needs an insert. I think that would come out a lot more as well. And maybe Starship Captains, like anything mainly by CGE there, obviously.
It seems CGE don't do
I think they do an amazing games, and they do big component. They do lots of bags. They do component soup. So do Board and Dice, to be fair. Hey, Board and Dice, you're friends. But yeah, that's that.
That is that.
I think that is it, and I think that is the podcast. So, do you want to quickly do a board game menu? Off the top of your head, this is how I'm. So, in case this is your first time watching, seeing, viewing, listening, a board game menu is a perfect starter, main course, and dessert in a board game way. So, I'll let you go first because I've been speaking to the viewing public.
Starter.
Yes. That's
I'm just having a look. I think is it just us two playing, or have we got people around? I mean,
I don't know. You tell me. There's no one else here at the moment. Just a cat somewhere.
I think we're going to play Skyrockets.
Nice, great game. Better than Kites. He said what?
Because that's quite. It's easy to understand. It's just turning over the.
Yep.
Timers.
Yep.
But it is always good fun, and because there's different scenarios, we could do a few scenarios, just sort of wet our whistle before we get into the main.
That campaign stuff's really good as well.
I think that the main course would be Return to the Dark Tower because we need to play it to get the
cost per place down. Yeah, perfect.
And I think we've got to introduce it to everybody now so that they all want it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And dessert?
And then dessert. I don't know. For a dessert. Oh, Kabuto Sumo.
Oh, nice.
A little dexterity flicking game to end the night.
Nice.
Mm.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to say Wednesday to start us off, because Wednesdays are really
that was very
fun.
noisy. I don't think they were expecting that.
Wednesday is as we said, is a really lovely, quick table game. It is quite simple.
Table game?
Quick to table game.
I thought you said a quick table game. I was like, what's a quick table game? Like they're all on the table, or are you playing your games on the floor?
A quick to table jamais.
Jamais?
Yeah, jamais. It's a very
I don't know what's going on now. He's totally lost the plot.
That's true. With a bit of strategy to it. I quite like it. I quite enjoyed it when we played it today, and I want to play it more, so that's why I'm going to play that to start. Our main course is something that I'm absolutely loving at the moment, and I really want to play it again, and I'm going to play it with more people, and I need 4 people, 5 people, and some people, is that. World Wonders. The Wonders.
You didn't think about the people who were listening.
Okay. I just said World Wonders. They're the people listening.
I know.
Hello, World Wonders. And hello, people listening. Yeah. Hello, World Wonders. I want to play the people listening.
You know what? There's not enough time in the day to play all these games.
No. World Wonders is a fantastic polyomino tile laying game. Polymomo is a perfect polymomo game.
Polymomo?
Yeah, polymomo. Where you are trying to place...
Palomino horses.
You're trying to place Palomino horses. Yeah, you're trying to place Palomino horses, on polyomino tiles. Which
back
is
legs.
Just weird what's happening. And then you have to put them next to roads, and they've got shapes, and then you have to buy...
Horses?
The Palomino horses have to go on the World Wonders that you have to place. It's really nice. Wooden components as well as cardboard components. It's all beautiful. That's my main course, and my dessert.
There aren't any horses in that game.
My Palomino horses, and my dessert. My dessert is going to be Castle Combo because it's in front of me and I can see it.
That's cheating. That feels like you didn't think about it
My
properly.
dessert is going to be Alpina because Alpina is a game where you are basically making there's a shed. You're making a shed, and in your shed you have to make a shed 5x5 grid of aminals.
You play it in your shed.
You have to play it in your shed.
Nowhere else would do.
Nowhere else, not at all. You
not
have to have
the table.
No way 5x5 grid of aminals.
Aminals.
Those specific aminals being a goat,
oh my God.
a pig. No, a goat.
No, that sounds like water.
No, a goat, a frog, and a bird. They're the animals, and each of the animals that you place in your 5x5 grid score differently. They could be in rows, columns, types of ones with trackers on, but they all have to be in your shed while you're playing it in your shared shed on your table with your tablet.
Who has a table in their shed?
I've got one.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. It's on its side.
Wow. Okay. He's playing Alpina on its side. In the
shed. That's what I'm doing. And that's it. That is the podcast and the episode today. Thank you for listening.
Mad one.
Thank you for stopping by. If you're still here, cheers. Remember to head to www.rentshuffleandroll.co.uk and use code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month of rental from them. Remember to pop down to the Dice Box and say hello sometime. And
check out all the Kickstarters.
Check out all of them Kickstarters. Sakana Stack, 1st of October, and all the others are on as we speak. And Time Troopers get notified for Game Found on that one.
No, don't. I want all the copies. No, I just want one copy.
That seems quite strange. Yes, so that's all we're doing today. Thank you so much for dropping by, and please remember to return to the Dark Tower.
Okay.
And
remember to support the ocean. The
ocean.
What?
I don't know.
Crossover.
Thanks very much, everyone, for listening and watching. Ooh, big thumbs up. Watching.
That might never happen again.
You know what? This is me. I've got to put it up first. So if this is
we did this last week.
If this is actually,
there is an episode that is recorded that Craig did not put up.
Yeah, so if this is even up, thumbs up in the comments. All right. Thanks for watching, listening, and doing all that thing. Leave a 5-star review on your app catcher of choice, and get into games. Get into games.
You don't look very happy about it.
Get into games.